and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Curfew Boys. We are now season 3, episode 2. Let me introduce you to my boys tonight. We're a little short-staffed, but not to worry. We got Statman Joe over here.
Hey now.
We got Chipman Adri.
Hello.
And one of my favorites, we got GQ Chris in the house tonight.
Always suck it up.
Hey now.
We got Sammy who's benched tonight.
Good.
We have Zook on injured reserve list. But they might make it next episode. You know, we didn't have the cap space for them tonight, but we'll have them next episode, guys. Let's get things started. But before that, GQ Chris, it's been a long time I haven't seen you. How was your summer, man?
It was a great summer, but missed you guys a lot. Look, the cold is setting in right at the perfect time. Leafs are dying. Perfect alliteration to what's to come this hockey season. And just happy to be back here. How are you guys?
Crazy how the beginning of our summer season, right before summer hit, we had our golf game, and we had said, Chris, and we're gonna make it a thing this summer. We're gonna go once every 2 weeks, guys. We went once. Okay. Together. I mean, I went a couple more times after that, but me and him we never synced up for another match. So
we couldn't look at each other after how badly we played. So the rest of the season was split apart.
Yeah, true. All right, boys, we are less than 24 hours away for the opening game of the season. Joey is counting down another loss. Right?
I'm counting down to the season ends.
with that attitude of hoping a 0-82, it's gonna be a long ass season. But hey,
I will say, Anthony, I'm excited for tonight's episode because we have one of my favorite people who's gonna agree with me and Chris and Sammy's bench, so I can shit on Gallagher without him interrupting. I'm ready with the hands. I'm excited.
I'm gonna take Sammy's place and start cutting you off because you know how I am with Gallagher, right? I've seen mutual feeling as Sammy with Mr. Gallagher. So, but I'll give you the chance to speak. But I think he just froze. He has a little smile, a little smirk that froze right there.
Little thing for Joey while we wait for his camera to come back on. You know how the teams have like these Stanley Cup charts where they fill up to 16 wins? I think Joey's got a chart to fill up 82 losses for this season.
Amazing. That's amazing. I actually picture that. I don't know if Joey's coming back, but guys, this is a perfect.
Yes, because now everyone can actually see what we're seeing.
Exactly. All right, they have the final roster set up, so I'll mention the roster while we wait for Joey. We have a WhatsApp group going on right now. So, Adri, if you can respond to that, tell him to close the app and sign back in, and I'll enter him in. So, guys, the official lineup has been announced. So we have, as forwards, we have Anderson, Caulfield, Dak, Dandanov, Drouin, Dvorak, Evans, Gallagher, Hoffman, Monahan, Pizzetta, Pitlick, Slavkovsky. I said it right. And we have Nick Suzuki, our captain. So that's the forwards. Then we have the defensemen. We have Gully, Harris, Kovacevic, if I'm saying it right. My apologies out there if I'm destroying his name, but there it is. Matheson, Savard, and Weidman. And, of course, our goaltenders. We don't have Carey Price, but we have Jake Allen and Mr. Montebo. And as extras, we have Armia, Emerson, Mayu, Heineman, and, well, as you all heard we have Joey in the waiting room, so let me add him in.
I don't know.
What?
I said I was so excited to start talking about Gallagher and how shitty he'll be. The app didn't want to hear it either.
Well, I'm just finishing up the roster, Joey. So let me just finish this. I didn't say Heineman. I said Heineman.
Heineman.
Whatever. Heineman.
Close
and
enough.
I was about to talk about Paul Byron. He made the team, but then was sent down to Laval to make space for our cap space.
LTIR.
Well, yeah.
He has lingering hip issues. I'll be honest. A like all jokes aside, I think we've seen the last of him.
He's done.
Really,
He can't.
I think
never
he's done.
resolved his issues.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
so sorry, let
super-
me rephrase what I was trying to say. You put him on LTR to make space for Jack-Eye. So now Jack-Eye officially made the team and he'll be on the starting roster tomorrow. So that's, I mean, good and bad news. It's nice to see Jack-Eye because he had a fantastic preseason. And Paul Byron, as much as I love the guy, like Joey said, I think he is done, like Carey Price. But that's something to talk about later on. So, guys, I mean, look, I know we're all hoping for a horrible season. Well, sorry, not a
Only
horrible
Joey.
season. We're hoping that they make bottom 5 so we can draft high. As we all know, the draft this year is supposed to be fantastic. All NHL ready, well, majority of them, and top future players, especially Bedard. But then again, if we do not get Bedard, we have a chance of getting other players. So yes, we are all hoping for a horrible season, but I'm hoping to see, like we said the last episode, let's see them lose with effort, if you want to say it that way, because we have a lot of good players, good star players for the future. We want to see them perform. We want to see them give us a glimpse of the future. I want to see Suzuki have his, top season this year. We want to see Caulfield. We want to see Jack-Eye put in those goals, and Slafkovsky. We want to prove the world that he was a better pick than Shane Wright. So, Joey, you first. What do you predict this season? What do you? Okay.
Before I get to that, one note because you mentioned the opening roster, just be aware, and they mentioned it today with St. Louis. I think Eric Engels did an interview with him. It's not a permanent stay for guys like Slafkovsky and Jack-Eye. Like, they have to basically perform to keep their spot. I don't know if they will. Guli as well. I have more confidence in Guli and Jack-Eye doing it than Slafkovsky right now, because Slafkovsky got a little better as the preseason went on, but still was underwhelming. Not to say it's a bad pick. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's literally
early,
his
first.
Right? It's his first NHL experience, so he might need some time, and that's okay.
Well,
As for prediction,
you know what, Joe. Just on that point, I'm actually good with that. I mean, give him some NHL experience, so, those 6-7 games, whatever it is, and then you send them down to Laval, gain more experience. Then you bring up. I'm sure this year, with all the players we have, there's going to be some injuries. There's going to be some call ups and call downs back and forth. We're going to see these players play fairly often this year. Especially if we're going to have that predicted season that we all think is going to be a really bad season. Guys, this is the season to test out all these young players. Unless they have a different vision right now in the locker room that they're hoping to prove us all wrong and make the playoffs with the team they have on paper right now, then that's a whole different ballgame. But if they're going in with the same mindset we have to quote-unquote tank and lose with effort, then we're going to see these players, rotate and build that experience. Because as much as you guys, I know Sammy's not here to shit on me right now, but as long as you guys are predicting that 7-9 year, contending team, I don't think that's their vision. I think they want to do it a lot faster than that. So
I don't think it's anybody's vision, really. They're just trying to meet expectation, because it's worse if you say 3 to 4 years like Bergevin and it's year 8.
No, exactly. They're indirectly saying that they don't. Yeah, you're right. Having a Bergevin that's in a 5-year plan, and then we're 10 years later, and where the fuck have you been? I get that, and I'm happy that they're being less transparent with saying their vision. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't see it happening 7 to 9 years. I think they want to have a faster process. So that being said, I think, let's play these players as much as possible this season to get that experience, to get that chemistry, because this is our future. If you look at the roster, we don't have that many, established players besides Anderson and Evans and Suzuki. Like, these are all young players. This is our core for the future.
Right. And to me, the regime is over with Gallagher. Gallagher's the last, I think, of that regime, as you would call it. I don't include Suzuki or Evans in it. That was starting a new core, but Gallagher's really the last.
No, exactly. What I meant by Suzuki is considered our veteran, and that's if you
exactly.
Look at Suzuki as your veteran,
22,
he's
23.
Guys, this is our core. This is our future. So yeah, of course we're going to see some changes in the future, some trades and whatever going forward to build this team. But this is the guys that you want to see perform. These are the guys that you want to establish. These Goolies, these Harrises, the Caulfield. You want these guys to. This is again. I'm repeating myself. My future. So enough of me. Joey, go for it.
Yeah. On a note of St. Louis, he mentioned how the players are going to play free. So I don't expect to see 5 to 8 minutes to young guys. Like I think he's going to give them valuable minutes to play. So that's going to be a good no. Now that's going to lead into my prediction is not that they're bad players, but having so many young guys playing so many important minutes, I don't think it's going to bode well for a good season. I mean, they didn't even win a freaking preseason game. It's preseason. I get it, but they didn't win one game. Not one. You had Ottawa, your last game of the season. We iced a pretty strong lineup. Not everybody. We were up against a goalie I've never even heard of. I think it was like their third or fourth, and they still lost. So I don't know. I'm sorry, it's not going to be a great year. I hate to say it. I think they will be bottom 5. I don't think they're worse than Chicago, Philadelphia, and Arizona. I want them to finish worse, but I do not think they're worse. But other than that, I don't see many teams that they're better in. And I'll make one more bold prediction. I think a watchful eye is going to be on Martin St. Louis. I say that because he wants players to play free. I get it, but I'm not seeing a system in play. We had, I'm not going to say a great team. When Julien first came in, there was that year where, I don't know if you guys remember, it was 2000, I think it was 17. It was just before we drafted Kotkaniemi, I'm pretty sure. It was the season we finished on 94 or 96 points, and we didn't make the playoffs. So we all said, if they were in the West, they would have made the playoffs. I don't know if you guys remember. We just missed the playoff.
I think Colorado made it with less points than us.
Yes.
Season. Yeah.
There was teams. I remember LA was one of them, and you're right. That year, we didn't have great players, I found, either, but we had a system in play, and it worked. I don't know where St. Louis is headed, but I don't see a system at all. I don't see them playing as a team. The only ones I see playing that are in sync together are the two guys that have been playing in sync together for 2 years, which is Suzuki and Caulfield.
Yeah, but like I mentioned before, these are all young players, right? Right now we have no.
Yes and no. I mean, but guys like Hoffman, horrible. Preseason. I mean, Drouin, forget it. We were talking about the video today about him being on the bench when there was a power play going on.
You just
watch it. St. Louis was discussing it. Yeah, he looks like a complete lost case. Dvorak. Okay, where has he been? Armia, I don't even know. He's been hurt half the time. But just to say, it seemed
the
to
players
be
you just
no
mentioned?
system. And you're right, there are a bunch of new players, but it was like this a bit last year too when he just came in. So that's why I said a watchful eye is going to be on St. Louis. Not saying it's going to turn out great or bad, but this might be the inexperienced part of his coaching. So, there's an identity of when you play. And I'm already experiencing this with another team, so I kind of in another sport. So it's the same thing. They're just, I don't know, they don't seem to be like a collective team playing for each other. Not that they don't want to, but that usually comes in with a system and a philosophy and an identity.
I think that's what they're trying. I think that's what they're trying to build, and I think this is the year they're going to start building.
Right,
Last
but
year was
the
a
pieces
test.
just look like, I don't know, they're scattered. When Julien came in, I'm not saying he's a great coach. He had a system. He played it. They got used to it within a short amount of time, and they had a mix of young and old guys. And I don't know. You saw their identity. It might have sucked the system, but they had something. With him, all I keep saying is St. Louis is they're going to play free. Okay.
Joey, I was just about to say, how do you coach creativity? I think if you take a step back from it and you just think of it on a logical perspective or at a logical perspective, it's very hard, especially if you're going to let them play freely. That to me, freely is offensively. No matter what, you have to have a structure defensively because you can't be creative without the puck. Creativity comes when the puck is on your stick. That's where the freedom comes along. But I don't think he can teach very much other than perhaps some positioning ideologies for offensive strategies. But I think most of his coaching is going to come down to the defensive side. And it's funny because I wouldn't consider St. Louis a defensive mastermind or somebody who would be the best at coaching it. So I think, just to say, I think it's going to be a question of letting the guys develop that chemistry in order to implement, I guess, his idea of a system. So I think it's going to play out in the long run. And I think right now it's going to be a long list of growing pains, or a long series of growing pains to watch on TV or in person.
I think you said that right, Chris. I mean, you guys have both very valid points. You're right, Joy. There's no identity. There's no chemistry. But like we had said earlier, these are all young players with no, and majority of them with no experience. Now, you had mentioned a couple of names, and I'll repeat them: the Dvorak, the Hoffman, the Drouin. I think these are players that we might not even see again, right? These are, I believe, trading pieces for throughout the season or
gone.
trade deadline. So, Joey had mentioned these guys, there's no chemistry. Look, we have no cap space. And they had said they wanted to make more moves before the end of the season, which they haven't. And I think that the right trade or offer wasn't in place. There was no right moves. And I think these are things that we're going to see throughout the season or at deadline.
Now, but even apparently, I saw that he's on the phone. He's on the phone. He's still on the phone now.
Yeah, and we're gonna see.
The fact of the matter is, this is Montreal. Jonathan Drouin, Quebecer, not playing, being scratched. That's a major distraction. I agree with Adri. Whether it's an absolutely factual statement, proved to be backed, which I do think it is. I think they have no choice but to take action and to get this off their plate as soon as possible, because that's going to be, look, losing is one thing. It's going to be disastrous if one of the potentially best players is sidelined by choice.
Look,
so we'll see what comes of it.
No, and back to Drouin. You mentioned the whole French thing in Quebec. I know we always talk about politics on this podcast, and after so many years in being a Montrealer and watching the Habs, it's always been very political. I think this core of management is staying away from that. I think they're going in a different direction. Yes, they're respecting the whole language stuff, but just choosing Suzuki as captain goes to show that this management is going a different level. They're like, hey, we want to win. I think everything we always said as friends on group chats and beginning early podcasts of last year and the year before, all we want is a winning team. We don't care if the players speak Asian, French, Spanish. We don't care. Just give us a winning team, all right? And all they focused on having the French best player, French this, French that. Look, I get it. Politics are important here in this city
market,
but and it's also in this market. But I think this management is going in the different directions. So your comment about Drouin being a distraction, of being on the bench and all that stuff, I think if the move is right and the deal is right, he's gone. Who gives a shit about his background? Get the hell out of here. You're not giving us that winning attitude on the bench. You've been fucking sitting on the bench and always calling in sick. I'm sorry, get out of here. We had too many excuses for this guy, and I'm guilty of that. Every year, you guys, let's listen back to episode 1, season 2, episode 1, season 1 in the Curfew Boys. I said it. This is the year where it's an opportunity, to bounce back and prove to the world, blah, blah, blah. And then I said it again the year after. This is the year, blah, blah, blah. And then I get it. I said it, last year, mid-season, when Martin St. Louis came in, and I said, you know what? I think St. Louis and Drouin are going to have good chemistry. And look, he hasn't proved anything. So you know what? At this time, I think we should stop giving this guy excuses and get out. Joy, when you had left, you were talking about no identity and this team has no system. You're right. And we had said it earlier that look at the core of our team. Suzuki is our veteran. So it's only normal that I think this team is testing the waters to see what our identity is going forward. But you had mentioned a few names like Hoffman and Dvorak and Drouin. These are players that, yes, they should have chemistry because they've been playing together for a while and they're part of our team. But I think these are the guys that are the moving pieces to get out of this team, right? Trade deadline.
Yeah, exactly.
To get some cap space, I think these are the guys that you're going to be seeing gone very soon. You know, Adrian said that there's rumors that Hughes and Gorton are still on the phones. Look, we have no cap space. We need to make moves. And these are the guys that we might see gone. So let's not focus on those players. You got to focus on the players that need to build the chemistry. And I think having that freestyle that you're saying that Martin Sully might have, I think it's a good idea. You know, let's get these guys playing, have fun. If we're not planning on winning or making playoffs this year, then why find and rush a system right now? Play freely, and slowly you start building that chemistry as a team. And then with that chemistry, you start finding your identity. And with that identity, you find your system. And there you is.
I'm hoping, before we move on, I'm hoping you mentioned a lot of the forwards, right? I want to talk about where St. Louis might lack of. Maybe he wasn't a defenseman. Their defensive structure last year was bad. And I think it got worse under St. Louis. Maybe, like Chris said, he wants to be more offensive. It's fine. But their structure was still really, really bad. I want to see improvement on their defense. And you say how? They have a lot of rookies. Well, I think the new guys coming in are replacing guys that were either bad or over the hill. You're talking about that guy we picked up, Clag we picked up from waivers was god-awful. And Sammy, when you hear this, I know you'll give praise. He hated that guy. Clag was god-awful. Niku from Jets, not great, terrible. We were using Schuneman, which we brought down. You know, these are not promising guys and older players that are looking for a contract, but they're not going to bring your team forward. Yes, you still have Savard, but I like what I see out of Matheson, at least speed-wise. It's somebody that wants to be there as opposed to Petrie. He had personal problems, couldn't be there anymore. That affects your play. And then everything else in between. I mean, we didn't have Edmondson most of the season, so whether he starts or not, it's relevant, but it's irrelevant to the point I'm trying to make. But now with Gouli coming in, you got Jack-Eye, you got Harris, maybe Barron if he gets called up. I want to see improvement in their play defensively. I really want to see that. Like, you have promising young players playing. It's not like you're replacing 2-3 superstars that said, no, this team's bad, I'm going elsewhere. You're replacing nobodies and Jeff Petrie. So you got to improve in that department. If you don't, that's where I'll start saying to St. Louis, like, I don't know. It's kind of questionable that the defense is still this bad. Doesn't have to be great. Doesn't even have to be average, just better than what it was from the season we just saw.
Valid point, Joey, and I'm actually very excited to see Gouli and Harris playing NHL level. And you saw a glimpse of what Gouli can do in the exhibition in the preseason. So imagine, in the season with Harris, with all these guys. You're right. Our defensive core is horrible. Who's your veteran here? Savard. But just
Edmondson if he's healthy. Yeah.
But just to say, Savard is your veteran here. Like, where's your leadership in the back end? And goaltenders. I mean, look. You know what?
That's our only saving grace. That's the one person I eye on is Allen, because he's gonna steal some games and it's gonna piss me off. That's the only guy that's gonna do it. Really, that's the only guy that's gonna do it. You want a miserable season? For me, play Cade and Primo all year. I'm good. I know.
But you know what? Okay,
I'll be like this every
hold on.
game.
Hold on a second.
Like this. But no, jokes aside, really, he's gonna be ours. He can't do it every time, but he's gonna be the one to save us.
Yeah, you know what? And I want to, after this point, I want Chris and AJ to speak about what they want to see or predict for the season. But you mentioned Primo. Now, we've been hoping for this guy to shine since he got drafted. We all said when he got drafted, he's the next Carey Price. And then the guy never really showed his potential. Last year with Laval in the playoffs, we finally got the glimpse we were hoping since day one when we drafted the guy. And then we saw him this preseason, and the guy is like a novice goalie. My son could probably score 5 goals on him, and my son just started hockey. So,
and he didn't play a lot of NHL, not a lot of NHL plays. He didn't play full NHL roster. So people say, well, the Canadians have a bad team. Yeah, but he also gives up the goals he should save. Plus, against not all of them, but he didn't play full NHL teams as well. So it's kind of like it's a balance to people's arguments or a counterbalance or like an argument saying, well, he didn't have the best team in front of him. Yeah, but he also didn't play the best teams either. He's not coming up against a McKinnon, or if you want to take the East, like Austin Matthews all the time, Marner. He's not playing them game in, game out. So I don't know.
But instead of putting Montembeault, like if you're telling me now, because Allen is not our future goalie, he's probably going to be an asset, or he's going to be our long-term backup goalie whenever we have an established goalie, or he's probably going to be gone in 2 or 3 years or whatever. If you're telling me Montembeault is your future, then fine. I know I don't want that, but right now, if you're telling me that Primo is going to be our future, then why not play him instead of Montembeault? Put Allen and Primo all season long. Give this guy experience. If we're not planning on making playoffs, this is the year to give Primo as much NHL experience. Give him that opportunity. If he doesn't succeed, then we have our answer.
You're right, but we have 2 goalies they sign. It's like it's a business thing too. It's hard to work around it. You can't just say to Allen, "Well, I'm going to start Primo because we're going to lose anyways." You can't do that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying Montembeault. Keep Allen as your
signed him. What do you do about
Montembeault? That's what I'm saying. Why did they go that direction? If Primo is your future,
because they don't believe in Primo. I'm telling you, hey, Sammy, you're going to listen to this. They do not believe in Primo. He's not an NHL goalie. Get it out of your head. He's not an NHL goalie.
I think this was the year that they should have given him as much experience as possible.
They should have drafted a goalie instead of Logan Mailloux. We talked about this. We had Grant
Joey
from recruits. We talked about the goalies. Anyways, just to say, we spoke about prospects. They should have drafted a goalie then.
No, Chris. Joey, I'm taking the date down that you said Logan Mailloux. Just wait. I know we've been freaking out over Guhle and what he's been able to do. I think, like you said, Guhle distinguished himself of the 3 defensive prospects that made the team. But before I get ahead of it all, I just want to say I really, really think Mailloux is going to be something special on defense. And I think he's going to have more talent, and he's going to be a balance of both Guhle and Xhekaj. I think he's got more potential defensively. More potential offensively than Guhle. I think he's going to be a little bit less mean than Xhekaj, evidently. But I think you're going to be looking at a potential Brent Burns style player. No joke. That's a bold prediction for the future.
That's fine.
But getting into this year. Or go ahead, make your point. But then I was just going to say,
I think he might turn out to be a great player. I mean, he's had the potential. It's just when you look at opportunity, you have 2 first-round goalie prospects evaluation, which is almost unheard of nowadays in the NHL. To have 2 goalies to be evaluated to be picked in the first round, you got to make every attempt to try to draft them. I don't feel Bergevin did. He might have. I just have a feeling he didn't, especially with the pick he made. That's where your opportunity is lost. It's a lost opportunity because now, if you look at last year, no goalie was taken the first round, or the year before, or before Mailloux. Again, don't think a goalie was taken. Not one, but 2 goalies.
That's very true, and I do agree with the logic, and I do agree with the point all around. Mailloux at the same time, unfortunate circumstances, stupidity on his part, mistake on his part, evidently. I think he was touted to be one of the top 3 defensive prospects in that draft. He just didn't want to be drafted to reconcile the situation, right. But he still was one of the top 3 defensive prospects in the draft. Anyways, Mailloux's not the subject of conversation. I did want to use the goalie discussion to springboard my predictions and my hopes and aspirations for the season. So what you said, Joey, I'm going to go with what you said at the beginning of the episode. I feel as though I'm going to be agreeing with you quite a bit. I think it's very, very important, without doing it purposely. So to say, you can't just say, hey, we're going to lose games purposely, because people will be frustrated. But I think one way that you manage to put yourself or give yourself a higher likelihood of losing would be to utilize Sam Montembeault I doubt we're going to see Primo. I think Primo is going to have more than enough experience. They're going to try to give him as many games as possible in Laval. I have no problem with that. I agree. I would love to have Primo up here because I think that's a losing recipe. I really, having seen him 5 times in person in the playoffs, play a much higher level of hockey or much better level of hockey than we've seen him play in the past. I was very disappointed with him in camp, and as I said, I see him being down in Laval, playing as many games as possible. But going back to the whole, what I'm hoping to see out of this season, I'm hoping that there's going to be a balance of both Allen and Montembeault. I think Allen's going to be at higher risk of having an injury if we start overplaying him because he's going to have to be making acrobatic saves with the defensive core, which that's transitioning into my next point. Very proud to see those 3 guys make the team, particularly Guhle. But I think Goule's going to be a staple. I think character-wise, you're looking at a future character-wise, not shot, not physicality. Well, maybe to a certain degree physicality, but I don't think he's going to be as strong necessarily as Weber. But that's your Weber replacement character-wise. Harris, I think he's just a steady two-way defenseman. He's not going to make a lot of waves, might get some points here and there, but I don't think he's going to be a staple for offensive defensive style. I think just a good two-way game. Jack-Eye, it's amazing to see how quickly he's becoming a fan favorite, and he hasn't played an NHL game yet. The guy is an absolute stud on the back end. I think what stands out is just his poise. He's calm. He handles the puck well. He doesn't panic. He makes a great first pass. I think he enables that transition play that will allow the forwards to do a lot of creative things this season. Guy worked at Costco. What an amazing, amazing story. Not drafted, worked at Costco just to do his part during the pandemic. It was said that a lot of guys in the locker room in both with the Bulldogs organization and the Rangers organization, they looked up to him. I think Marty St. Louis has a soft spot for the guy, not only for what he's been doing standing up for his teammates, but I also think that it's just another guy who's put in a ton of work, believed in himself, and followed through when he had to get to where he is. And going back to the whole forward transition and the offensive game for the season, I'm really hoping for both Caulfield and Suzuki that we're going to be looking at a season like Dylan Larkin had a few years back when Detroit absolutely sucked, but he had a record amount of points, ripped up the league, did a fantastic job. I'm looking at Caulfield and Suzuki throughout the whole preseason, and what's coming to mind is these guys added another gear. They're better than last summer. They're better than last season. They're faster. The chemistry seems to be better. They evidently spent a whole ton of time together this summer, and I'm just very happy to see that. I'm very excited, and I'm hoping to see Suzuki and Caulfield. Suzuki above 80 points, Caulfield above 65 points, hopefully 70 points. I'd be very, very happy with that, but I'm still foreseeing a bottom 7 overall finish. And keep your eye out on Florida. Seriously, I have Florida marked on my calendar. I think they will also finish in the bottom 10, and that means
awesome.
two top 10 picks in one of the best drafts. Joey highlighted that last episode.
That's all you could ask for in this season. If we can have a bad season and Florida bad season, and we get 2 top picks in one of the best drafts since I think 2004, if I'm not mistaken, probably even better than 2004. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joey, but I think this draft is as close or even better than 2004. With
you want the 2003, the Fleury draft, or 2004, the one Crosby,
the Crosby year.
Crosby was 2005.
Sorry, the year that Montreal screwed up on.
2003.
That was 2003 when they missed
Getzlaf. You know what? Their screw up. Fun fact about it: their screw up isn't even that bad. I mean, Kosticin was actually productive for us. So imagine that was your screw up, and he was still a decent player. That's how strong it was. But yeah, it's going to be similar to 2003, definitely. That's why I think it's important to get one more pick, and I promise I will want them to win as of next year. I'm just saying it for the good of the future of the team. And Chris, I applaud you, man. Bold prediction on Suzuki. I don't think he hits 80 points, but we'll we'll keep in discussion for that. I just don't think he has enough support.
Adri.
I don't know.
Adri. What much is there to say? You guys said everything. They're gonna. I don't know. I can't base anything off preseason. I never based anything off preseason. They've gone 10-0 sometimes. They've gone 0-10, and they still whatever happens. Prediction. Yeah, no. Primo can't. No, Primo's not going anywhere.
What about Kirby Dach?
Kirby, if he stays healthy, he's gonna, let's say 40, 50 points. Like, he's good.
But do you think
he's just had bad luck? Like, they interviewed the Brinkat and asked him about Doc, and he's like, the kid's good. He literally had bad luck. He broke his wrist, and that just screwed up everything. Now he's back. He's in the lineup. The guys like him. There, he seems to be gelling. So, and even back to chemistry, that whole identity and all that stuff. I think it's just gonna come together, and it'll just. I'm not worried about that. Like you said, free play. They'll make up. They're gonna make their chemistry, the kids, and Gallagher. Well, Gallagher's on the third line, Joe.
We'll get to Gallagher shortly. Rewind a bit back to Dach. And do you guys think he stays, or he's just a trade bait for later on?
I think he's going to be a staple on this team. I don't know if he's going to be a centerman or a winger, but I think he's an absolutely essential piece that's going to lead to a Stanley Cup final appearance, if not win.
Wow, that's bold. Okay. My prediction. I mean, look, I really want them. I'm actually agreeing with Joey. I mean, I don't want an 0-82, okay, but I do want them to lose with effort and be bottom 5. I am excited for the draft. It's something that I'm looking forward to. So it's going to be a long season for me because I'm going to be a Joey this year. I want to be as negative as possible, but negative in the sense that I want them to lose, but I want to see them perform. I want to see a glimpse of the future, okay? So I don't want them to win, and I want them to lose. But there's something telling me, okay? And I want them to lose because of what we just said. If this is going to be a 2003 draft.
So it's one of his scenarios.
No, it's not. No, it's not a scenario. I'm actually not saying a scenario. I want them to lose. I'm predicting
He's calling playoffs. He's about to call playoffs for the Canadiens.
I'm not calling playoffs, but I'm, for some reason, because they're the underdogs this year, you hear it in every sports podcast, you hear it on the radio, you hear it everywhere that we are the worst team in the East. Okay, we're the worst team in our division. Ottawa, who is 99% fucking young rookies, all right, are predicted to go as far as possible in the fucking playoffs. Okay,
they started their build before us, so those rookies are like now seasoned
rookies
players.
like Nick Suzuki. They're Nick Suzuki's for the team, right? What I'm trying to say is that these guys are predicted to go far in the playoffs or even make playoffs. So our team is that bad on paper. But here I am always saying on paper we're a sick team to go to finals, and guess what? No, we go nowhere, right? In the past. I'm not saying now, Joey, that face. I'm not saying I'm saying last year and the year before on paper we were a good team. I don't know. There's something telling me that this management or the core, like St. Louis and the Cavalier and Gorton News, all they believe in character. And I don't see them coming out on the ice hoping to tank. I think they're coming on the ice to prove everybody wrong. And that scares me. That scares me because I don't want them to prove us wrong.
Optimism Anthony is his new name.
No, but I'm not saying me. I am saying this team, this management believe in having a strong character and I don't know. I feel like they're gonna come out and try to prove every analyst wrong, every fan wrong, and prove us wrong. And I don't want that because I really want to have our top picks for a draft that is expected to build our future, our dynasty in 3-4 years. But that's what I'm hoping for. So yes, my prediction, my hopes is what Joey and Adri and Sammy and Zook and Chris saying. Let's lose with effort. But there's something that's telling me that St. Louis is gonna pump up the team in the dressing room and say, "Hey guys, let's prove everybody wrong." So I don't know.
There's that, but at the same time is like you said, they're gonna let them play, so they're just gonna, I guess, like a better word, go with the flow.
And whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens. They're gonna just play, go, literally have fun, because, like you said, they're known to be the worst in the East, so they have no pressure. So now, no pressure.
And when you have no pressure, you play a lot better than with
no pressure. You have fun, and then you're at the Bell Center. And
look at the year before, we made the Stanley Cup Finals with no pressure because everybody predicted them to lose 4 straight against freaking Toronto, 4 straight against Winnipeg, 4 straight against Vegas. And guess what? We beat everybody and proved everybody wrong. So
I hate to break it to you guys, but we have pressure not from the league, but because of our own media and fan base. I think they have pressure every year because of it, more than other teams do. The same amount maybe as Toronto and like New York, the big markets.
No, but I think what Sammy said a few episodes ago, and he says it in our group chat, I think our fan base reached our limit of having hopes for this team and actually want to tank and rebuild and build this dynasty.
You think so?
I think so.
I'm
seeing a lot more, like we're seeing, and even on our Instagram page and our fans writing to us, they want to see this team lose. They want to build a future. 3 years ago, when we started this podcast and we were losing games, we were getting messages like, "What the fuck? They suck. I can't stand this team. I want this trades. I want this." Now people want them to lose. Our some fans in this preseason, they were freaking happy, like Joey. We have a bunch of Joeys on our Instagram page now. Our fans are all Joeys.
They're turning.
So I think the media and our fan base, I think, reached that point where they want to lose. They want to build a proper team for once. Like we've always said, the Montreal Canadiens, like the city of Montreal, let's fix the potholes. And that's what we've been doing for so many years. But I think we're at a point where we're going to fucking clean and rebuild Rome. You know what I mean? Like, let's build a brand new city, no potholes, and just...
I don't know about the potholes, but...
Just about to say, let the Canadians inspire Montreal construction companies around. Please, God, do the job properly.
All right, so player predictions. I know, Chris, you had said your prediction on Suzuki and Cole, but I want to ask you guys all, who hits 30 goals?
Only Caulfield.
Only Caulfield?
The delusional guys, they're not on the podcast. You can take a hint, 2 of them. Think Gallagher will hit 30 goals? No, not a chance. He'll hit maybe 10 off his ass or his face.
45th minute, I will advise the 2 delusional guys to listen to that point tomorrow morning.
He's not going to hit 30 goals. He'll maybe score 2 or 3 nice ones, and then the rest are just going to hit off of him, fluke. I could have stand in front of it doing it. Jokes aside on that part, I don't think he hits 30 goals. The only one who hits 30 goals for me is Caulfield. That's it. That's all.
Anderson
Suzuki
as well.
For me is our highest point getter.
I'm going to go with 3 guys: Anderson, Suzuki, and Caulfield, all 3. And I think Dak is going to surprise with about 23, 24 goals.
30 goals. 3 30-goal scorers.
Yes. You want to know, Joey, the problem is not going to be scoring this year. The problem is going to be keeping the puck out of our net. We're going to lose like 5-4, 4-3. I don't think that they're going to have any problem. I think, look, Caulfield is practically at a goal per game. He's in that Ovechkin spot at the top of the circle on the left side, and he's just picking corners. He's absolutely fantastic, and I think it's going to get to the point where it's going to be mutually understood on this team. If Caulfield's in that position and he's got a chance to shoot, you don't fucking pass Caulfield. You shoot it towards that corner because you have one of the best
I
shots
totally
in the league.
agree. I totally. We'll
But-
make a friendly
but
bet,
then-
Chris. We'll talk about it. There will be
but
under
Ander-
330 goal scorers.
But even wait. Even Anderson was on pace for a 40-goal season back when they made the Cup Finals in the shortened season. I think Anderson has it in him. And Suzuki, look, he played one single game in the preseason after not clearly, like, I don't know, he was playing in some Mount Royal tournament or something like that. To be honest with you, just to see the way he was able to slow down the game, and I don't want to overhype him or oversell him. These guys, literally, Caulfield and Suzuki, look like they're at another level this season, and I truly think that those two, I think Caulfield's going to do more passing than we think, and I think Suzuki's going to be doing more goal scoring than we think. So those three guys, I will confidently say I'm more scared about Anderson, but Suzuki and Caulfield, I see them both north of 30 goals.
I'm
That's
agreeing
quite
with
bold.
I see what Chris is seeing because I do see Suzuki and Caulfield at a different level this year. Okay, I think Suzuki goes in with the pressure of being a captain and wanting to prove everybody that they made the right choice. I think Suzuki and Cole hit the 30 mark. I don't see Anderson. It's not because I want to say Anderson. I'm not seeing it right now, but I think you're right about this. But I can be certain that Suzuki and Cole hit it. Now, as much as I tease and joke around in their group chats about Gallagher, I don't see him hitting it, but I do see him hit 20. Okay? I do see him hit 20. And if he hits 30, it's a bonus. Okay? But I do see him hit 20.
It's a miracle.
I think this year, like we had said earlier in this podcast, having that free-for-all play, having that no pressure play, having that, hey, your team sucks, you're going to be last place, and we're not going anywhere. With that mindset, they're going to go on the ice, and even if they lose, they're going to prove, these players are going to prove to us what the glimpse of the future looks like. And I'm seeing 2 30-goal scores. I do. Now, do I see Dak hitting 30? And no, but I see him performing, with also assists. So we're going to have like a 30, 40 point guy, maybe 50, but majority assists than goals. He's not going to hit the 30 mark of goals, but he's going to hit the 30, 40 of assists.
Who's this?
Dak.
To
If he stays
40
healthy.
assists, maybe 30.
If he stays healthy.
If he stays healthy.
Healthy
maybe 30.
player, you could see him, feeding all these guys.
It also depends his line mates too, right? I mean, that's going to play a big part. Like somebody's got to actually put the puck in the net. So
yeah, sure. And you have
Evan,
Evans
just as a
back
reference
too, right?
point, Colorado firepower offensive team only has 3 30-goal scorers. Just keep that in mind. Colorado only had 3, and you're saying Montreal's going to have 3. I'm not saying scoring
Possibly 3. I think Anderson's going to be in the 26 to 30, maybe 31 range.
Okay, you're becoming an Anthony. Is he hitting 30 goals or is he not? That's the question. This is Anthony style now.
Okay, if he's playing on the top line with Suzuki as he's penciled in right now, he's getting those 30 goals. Okay. If he gets taken off that line, I don't see it, but he should still be north of 25 no matter what. Keep that line 30.
Sorry guys, I'm generally shocked because I usually think Chris is bang on with predictions and what happens, and this was out of left field for me. I'm telling you, I'm just shocked. I'm actually shocked because high-end teams like Florida only had 4 30-goal scores and one barely made 30. Colorado had 3, and you're expecting Montreal to have 3.
But I think Chris is only saying that.
Who was Anderson playing with when he was on pace for 40? He was on pace for 40 in a shortened season. If you did the math, the goals per game calculation and extended over the period of 82 games, the only other thing that might factor in is Anderson has been injured often. So you know what? I didn't take that into consideration. He might be injured.
Did you factor in the opponents? Because playing Vancouver shitty Canucks 9 times. as opposed to playing Shesterkin, Carolina that pumps us every time we play them. Boston, there's a bit of a difference.
I see what you're saying, and I agree. But again, go back. I don't know what the hell overcame me this season, but I've watched everything from the prospect games on the like YouTube feeds. I watched everything. Those three guys were the three guys that came in with the most, I want to say, jump in their step. They looked, I know they're playing against non NHL rosters, but like the way Anderson was driving, the way Suzuki was seeing the game and moving in one fucking game that he played in, and the way Caulfield was skating, stopping, like the agility, the positioning, the snipe shows that he was offering on a nightly basis. That's why I go with those three guys. And I don't know. I just again I'm very, very much factoring in a Nick Suzuki who's on another level, being able to make passes to Anderson where he just has to basically wedge it right into the net rather than do a whole bunch of work.
I'll make a bold prediction. I think he gets traded before he hits 30 goals.
You're saying Anderson is a trade bait this year?
Maybe next year. Yeah. Good contract to begin, bad contract to end. As we're getting more into that part, we're getting more and more into his contract of him being older. And I don't think he's a 5-on-5 type player. He's a rush player. I don't know. I think Hughes is a smart guy. I know it's going to be a bad contract coming up. So he might be a trade bait. I don't think this year, but I think he could be one next year.
Okay. That's bold. That's bold. And you know what? I think I see that happening. I don't see Anderson, you do need an Anderson for your veteran, that leadership in the room. I know Suzuki is our future leadership, but Anderson has more experience. So as much as Suzuki is our captain, I think Anderson will be like that hidden puppet to help Suzuki go the right direction. So I don't see Anderson leaving this year, potentially a bait later on, or Anderson stays for life because he said he wants to stay as a Montrealer. So
they all say that. I don't take those words too much. To me, they all say that. Everybody does.
That's true.
I need to ask a prediction from everybody. Just a number. How many goals does Gallagher score this year? I'm being honest.
Minimum 20.
Okay, just give a number.
He wants a number, Ed.
Number, not minimums. A number.
17.
How much?
17.
Anthony?
This is just to piss off the other two.
No, we're going to go with this throughout the whole
21.
year. We'll write it down.
21.
21? Adri?
Yeah. 25.
Oof.
25? Okay.
Joey's offended.
I will say
3.
no. I'll go with 15. I'll be a nice number. 15. But if he gets injured, that's part of the game. I don't want to hear, oh, he's injured. He only played 6. But that's part of who Gallagher is now. He's going to be injured, whatever that happens. You got to factor all these things in.
I'll stay with my number 21, but I think Joey's taking it at 15. I even say 13, but I want to stay 21 because I've been saying it since the beginning by Gallagher. I think Gallagher will try as hard to get close to 30, but because of the freestyle play of the year, but realistically 13 to 15. But I'll stick with my 21. No fucking predictions.
Zook and Sammy, we already know we'll get an actual number, but it's over 30 because we have a friendly bet going on with it. So they think he's a 30-goal scorer.
All right, quickly, Adri, do you have any 30-goal scores or aside from this Gallagher talk?
30-goal scorer, maybe Caulfield, but I see more 40, 50 point, a lot of more 40, 50 point players happening than
the 30-goal scores.
Yeah,
I can see that too.
Like with Kirby, you got Suzuki, you got a good bunch of players that if Drouin does actually play and all that, he can Okay, he won't get 30, Joe. Don't worry. But he can. If he has a good year and he actually plays and they let him play, he can go 20, 25.
Yeah, we've been saying that for 4 years.
I know.
You're right. You're
I'm
right.
not
If he
saying.
plays and stays healthy and performs like we all think he could do, you're right. He can hit the 20, 30 goals. Not 30, but I see the 20. But it's fucking Drouin. I already saw him on the
Yes, but
bench.
like I said, he's benched at practice and stuff like that. So
yeah.
The
that's
real
another story.
question: does Caulfield crack the 40 goal mark? That's a bold prediction right there.
He has
This
potential
year,
for
no.
me, but not this year, just given the team around him. Power play is an issue. You get a lot of, maybe I'll make this clear, you get a lot of good points, I guess you could say, or you could take advantage of getting more points by getting them on the power play. I'm sorry, no matter what players we have, it's not just the players we have, it's the way we run it. It's still shit. It is still shit. You notice, unless they change it, you notice it's still, they drop back. I swear I make the same
That's
prediction
stupid
every
drop.
time this happens. There's a 2-minute power play on the scoreboard. They lose the face-off. The face-offs, they lose the face-off. The puck gets dumped. You have Drouin, or I'll say Drouin because a lot of times it's him, but you have a puck carrier that comes up, no, I'm sorry, it's not Drouin. Somebody drops the puck to Drouin or Suzuki, makes in between legs, drop pass, and then they come into the zone and nothing happens. That's why I don't think this year he'll hit 40, because that's a good, it's your team, but it's also the way you play, and power play is a good way to score goals, and they just don't never take advantage of it. So
Okay.
no, he won't hit
Question:
40
What's
this
the
year.
point? What's the point of that stupid fucking drop pass for the power play?
Because
it makes no sense.
they're
You're
not
starting
playing
to
the
go
dump.
and then you
It's
stop the
3
play.
coaches, by the way, that this has happened with. So at some point, something's got to give. I don't know who's giving the instructions. It's
Like
3
fuck,
coaches.
just go straight in.
You watch
Doc-
Avalanche play, you watch Florida play. I'm sorry, I don't see this ever, and I'm just giving 2 good offensive teams. You don't see this ever, and they're actually in sync. They're even Toronto. Us, we're like fighting for our lives on the power play. We look like we're a man down when we're a man up.
All right, last question, and we're gonna end this off. Slav, does he play a whole season, or do we see him being sent down at one point?
What's
I
the
mean, I'll
rule
go
again
first.
with the 9 games?
Does he get sent down? Yes, but he'll get called back up. Does he play 82 games? No, but I think he'll be up and down the full year. I'm hoping he plays 40 games. That's my hope for the guy. So I'll say 41 is half a season.
What's the whole rule with the 9 games? If he plays 9 games, he can't be
burns
sent
1
down?
year of his entry level contract.
I think they'll
if
burn
he goes
it.
over.
Yeah, I think they'll burn it.
I'm going to say, okay, I know there was an evident progression throughout the preseason. Right now, I hate to say it, but it's better for his development. But I don't see him staying, unfortunately, unless I know there are 2 factors. At 238 pounds, and trust me, I'm 6'3" and 231 pounds as we speak. Uh, your agility goes out the window, and unfortunately, the NHL is way too fast. I know he's going to shed weight. It just naturally happens when they're playing a lot of games and they're playing on a routine basis. He is going to get lighter, and he's likely going to get faster for that reason. But just based off of the way his head, it's like it's on a swivel. He's always looking around too much. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't just have his head down or head up in the direction that he has to be. He's looking for where the play is. And at the moment, to me, it would just be surprising that he plays more than his 9 games. I think it's just a question of his confidence. You want to send him down with him knowing that he made the team. Because, I mean, look at it. In my opinion, Machar was in a better position to make this team. I think he played better all around. I think a lot of prospects played better all around. I think this is a question of protecting our number 1 overall pick's confidence and sending him down at the right time so that it's a building experience and not hacking him at his knees and getting him playing mental games, so to say, with him.
That's no, that's a valid point. Adri?
He's not doing 82 games, that's for sure. But they gotta give him. He's gonna get his chance. They gotta give him his chance to develop, and they'll do the 9. I'm sure he'll do the 9 games, burn the contract, and then they'll see after. They have to. You can't decide after 3 games, and then it's like, okay, go to Laval. Like you said, if they're gonna play free, if it's a whole part of development, and like Chris said, if he looks a little bit lost now, get him into the actual situation, and he'll develop. Now, what is he starting on the third line or second?
The lines they had today was on the third, I think.
Okay, see, but that's to me that's
with
good.
no power play, which I'm shocked.
But they're probably gonna ease him into everything. They don't wanna. If they're gonna keep him up, they're not gonna if he was going to Laval right away, he's gonna be on the first line, first power play unit. He's gonna do all that. Montreal, they're gonna slowly. They know he's not used to it, so why rush him like we've been doing? Plays on the third line. Unfortunately, he has to play with Gallagher. That's a different story. And he'll develop like that. And then if they see, okay, he needs more of a confidence boost, they can send him down.
I think they're gonna do. I was just gonna say that I think they're gonna do exactly the Caulfield. They made him play, and then they sent him down for a boost, and then they brought it back up. That's the only way I see him going down. I don't see him doing the 8 games to prevent the burn of the contract and send him down for like a month or 2 and then bring them back up for injuries. I actually think what AJ just said, make him play. Again, I don't want to follow the same footsteps that we had in the past of rushing our players like KK and Galchenyuk and Consistent Brothers, but there's something about this management that, I think if they had the same vision like us of the year of let them play, whatever happens, let's finish bottom 10, have these young players just get the experience as much as possible because it's the year that we're throwing in the garbage. And then next year we start settling in and finding our identity, then why send them down? Just let them play, get the experience.
Even for all we know, some of the games they might put him up in the stands, let him watch.
Healthy scratch.
I'm even more excited at the prospect.
But I wouldn't do that. Sorry to cut you off, Chris, but I think that's
like a negative way.
It's a negative impact to a player, and I feel like that's a momentum killer if you're gonna send him and make him watch. It's either you make him players or go to Laval. One or two, not to sit down, because you can watch the games on fucking TV.
And I like. I'll be honest. I personally prefer. Look, he might come out and wow us. He has been getting progressively better. I'm not saying that it's impossible that he stays. I say it's 9 games and then down. But I like the idea of him going down, Laval absolutely dominating, him being able to adapt to that North American game. And who's he going to be playing with? Likely his fellow countryman, Massar. They're going to dominate, and he's going to get very comfortable playing in the North American system very quickly.
I think that's also another valid point. Joey, I know you have one more bold prediction before we end this off. And finish your point, and then we'll.
Yeah, call me crazy. I think they win opening.
You're crazy.
Night. I am crazy.
yes, they are due for a win.
With the hype of the crowd, opening night, maybe seeing Slavkovsky, Goulet, the new players, St. Louis. I think they win opening night.
The whole show.
What happened to your 0-82?
It's going to be 1-81.
1-82. It beat Boston and Toronto all season. I'm happy.
Okay. Wow, bold. You know what? Yeah, opening game. This is the first time in a long time we're home opener.
It's been
home opener.
7 to 10 years. Yeah.
We've always played on the road first game in the season. This is the first time we're at the Bell Center game 1.
Do you remember
Against
we used to
Toronto.
always, just so people know, as us friends, we used to always go out. In the opening game was always against Buffalo. We used to always go out somewhere to eat and watch it. Chris, I know you weren't with us, but me, Anthony, Adri, Sam, Zook, we'd always go watch the opening night. It was always Montreal, Buffalo, and we'd go to some restaurant, like, sometimes like a casual spot or places like those. We'd always watch.
I'm surprised we didn't even plan it this year. Mind you, I wouldn't have been able to come, but it's funny, we're finally Montreal's playing at home for the season opener, and I'm going to Toronto. I'll be watching the game tomorrow night in a Toronto bar with fucking Leaf fans.
So Toronto is here and you're there.
I know. Imagine we have a crazy season this year, and I started the season in an opposite fucking city. Wow. And I'll do that every year.
That means we're gonna ship you out every year.
Last question. Sorry, I knew we keep saying that, and we're still here. But last question. Season started tonight, actually. Stanley Cup predictions for the fun of it. I know it's far-fetched here, but just for the fun of it. Who do you see in the East? Who do you see in the West? Does it have to be a winner? Who are the 2 top finalists?
We give 2 per conference.
I was just gonna say that because Joey hates my predictions. I was gonna have a prediction of 2 teams, but you know what, Chris? Since Joey always sides with you, yes, 2 Western teams. The Eastern Final Conference and the Western Conference Finals.
Oh my
Who are the
God.
4 teams?
Okay, out of the East, I've got Carolina and the New York Rangers. I know they're maybe a little bit off the chart. Screw you, Toronto. I swear to God, and this is another side prediction. Toronto, if you face Ottawa, Ottawa will beat you in the playoffs, just to be perfectly
for
clear.
sure.
Note that. And in the Western Conference, Colorado still has it. And strangely enough, Calgary.
Fuck!
I think
Those are my fucking predictions in the West.
Well, I just facilitated the task.
Okay, Joey.
Out of the East, Chris, you're gonna hate me. I'm gonna go with Carolina and Toronto. I think Toronto, they passed that one. They passed that one first round. I really think they can go to conference final. Out of the West, definitely Colorado. Now the second team. I'm gonna say honestly, it's gonna be between the Albertan teams again. It's gonna be between Calgary and Edmonton. You dark horse might see a St. Louis if goalie and defense perform, but I think it's going to be Calgary or Edmonton. It's boring. I wanted to give a different team on the West, but I just don't see it. Maybe Vegas if they get their act together.
They have Jack Eichel, right?
That's right.
You said more than 4, Joey, so I'm allowed to now break that rule.
Okay, I scrap that. Edmonton, just to be different from Chris. Edmonton and Colorado, Toronto, Carolina, 4 teams.
Adri.
Okay. It's so early. I don't fucking...
Like Joey said, it's called a prediction.
At this point, I might as well say Tampa Bay also, and... Fuck Toronto. I'm not saying Toronto. You know what? Throw this off. Big ass curveball. Ottawa.
Good. That's someone different.
That's that bold.
Yeah, you know what?
As much as I don't want to say, but you know what?
For the fun of it, I'll play
they have.
It's too late, actually, though.
No, but you know what? I said Edmonton and Colorado. And Chris said Calgary could have very well been Calgary. I find it's very hard to get to the same spot as you were last year, but it's so hard, right? Because it's the same teams that we saw. I don't know, 3 out of the 4 teams we mentioned all made the conference finals last year. Or Chris, you said New York. You said New York Rangers. Yeah, so 3 out of the 4 made the conference finals. It's gonna be very hard to see the same 3 out of the 4. You don't know who's going to surprise. So that's why I like Adri's prediction. I like somebody that's different. It's really hard. It's too early to predict, but yeah.
I'm going to West. Oh, I don't know my West. Here, you want more bold predictions? Minnesota,
Oof.
and and Calgary.
No Colorado. Okay, that's very bold.
All
Colorado's
right.
not the same team.
Look,
They lost
um,
Landeskog.
yeah, it's true. Continue, AJ, sorry.
Somebody else is injured. I can't remember. Plus,
They lost Kadri too.
they lost Kadri. As much as people don't say, "Oh, he didn't do much," he helped the team big time. They lost their goalie.
Yeah, but their
They
goalie
lost.
wasn't.
Did you mention Nishkushkin? He signed
No,
that.
he's still
Yeah,
there.
he signed that big deal elsewhere.
Nichushkin, no, he's still. From what I remember, he's still there.
He's still in Colorado.
Yeah, it was
No, I
Kadri
thought he
that
signed
signed.
like a 7-year deal somewhere.
Really? Anyways, Colorado's not the same team. Like McKinnon got his contract, but Landeskog, you don't know if he's coming back, if he's gonna play. Their goalie, Kadri, you know.
Yes, we'll see. For me, I'll switch it up because I kind of said what everybody said. So I'll switch it up. Pittsburgh. I think
Ooh, dark
Pittsburgh.
horse.
I think Pittsburgh can. I think with their 3 heads,
Last dance.
the last dance. I think they're gonna try for that last dance before they all
Foreheads.
retire.
Jeff Petrie, superstar.
Yes, but the three
I'm
heads.
joking. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
the three guys. Well, Malkin,
Crosby and
Letang.
Letang.
I think the final dance. I think they want to fight one more hurrah, and I think Tampa wants to try again. I don't want to see them, but you never know. I'll go with Tampa and Pittsburgh in the left east side. I don't want to say Toronto because I just don't want to say Toronto, but I do agree with Joey, and I said this last year. Mark my words, and Joey agrees with me, and he said it also last year and this year. The moment, I'm gonna gag saying this, but the moment Toronto breaks the first round curse, you're gonna see them in the finals. I'm not saying they're gonna win the finals, but you're seeing them at the Stanley Cup Finals the moment they break that first round curse. But I do not want to predict their name because I can't stand them. So I'm going with Tampa and Pittsburgh as a Eastern Conference Finals. I do like Carolina, by the way, but I'm gonna change it up a bit. So Tampa and Pittsburgh. On the West, I said it throughout I said it last year actually. And I don't want this to happen because I do want Montreal Canadiens to be the next Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. But I think Calgary has a team this year. I think Calgary has a team this year. And I will go with both Canadian teams in the finals is Calgary, Edmonton. Can't believe I'm saying that because I don't want it. I don't want to see that happen. I know I'm Canadian. I should need fucking Team Canada here. But
yeah, but you know what? If you think of it, I'd rather have one of those two win than.
Oh, of course. If I had to choose between Toronto, Edmonton, and Calgary, please give it to the West. 100%. And I would maybe give it to Ottawa as well. I actually would cheer for Ottawa in the finals, but again, maybe this is a selfish reason, but I want Montreal to be the last and the next team to win the Stanley Cup in Canada. So, anyways, we'll see what happens. On that note, boys and girls, that was a great show. Very good show. To all listeners out there, thank you for all your love and support. Keep showing that love and support. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now subscribe on YouTube. You can now see our beautiful faces, especially today when Joey froze. In the past, every time we would talk about freezes, you just hear our situation, but now you can get to see these beautiful freeze moments, So yeah, follow us on YouTube as well. Subscribe. Please leave an honest rating, good or bad. We want to know how we're doing, and we just want to give you better content going forward. So leave us an honest review. And to Sammy and Zook, I can't wait when you listen to this episode so we can all attack Joey tomorrow. Remember, the 45th minute, Joey calls you both delusional fans. Oof. So, Chris, thanks for being on the show. We, like
Pleasure.
always,
Thanks
we
for
love
having
you on it. Until next time, guys.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Good night.